Hi, I'm Jonathan from PTFS Europe, and what's on my mind this week is why is a bug called a bug? So, this is a question we quite often get asked, not only by our libraries that we support, but we actually get asked it even by our staff, who often think that a bug is quite a scary thing. And I'm sure to many of you, a bug is a scary thing. So why do we use the expression bug in Koha? Well, it goes back to when Koha was originally developed. The tool that Koha used to track the bugs in Koha and other things was a tool called Bugzilla. And Bugzilla in itself sounds quite scary because it's got that context of a bug, but also the Zilla is like a Godzilla thing. It sounds a pretty scary thing. But essentially it was a tool that was originally developed by Mozilla, and it was used originally to track bugs. But over time it's also been used for other primary functions as well. So things like enhancement requests, feature tracking, and just general sort of task management. So the Koha project has used Bugzilla for pretty much since the inception of Koha. So I thought we'd actually have a look today at Bugzilla and talk a little bit about the difference between a bug and an enhancement request. So in Koha terms, whatever gets added to Koha, the mechanism for adding it is via Bugzilla, and it gets logged as a bug, but the bug is just a notional term for a request inside the system. So if we think about other software development tools like Jira, GitHub, they have a very similar sort of workflow really, but they use different terminology. So perhaps if we just have a look at Jira, we describe things as issues rather than bugs. If we go to GitHub, we also describe things as issues. So we log an issue, we report an issue, and an issue, again, is not necessarily an issue with the software. It can be an enhancement or a new feature. So Bugzilla really is a tool that's being used to track all of that. So if we perhaps just have a look at Bugzilla, and the first thing to say, here is the URL of Bugzilla, but if you haven't got an account, you're very welcome to register for an account, and that gives you the added ability as well as searching Bugzilla. It means you can actually report faults yourself, or if you want to report something that you'd like to see as an enhancement request or a new feature, then that's also something you can report here as well. So in the very simplest terms, we've got a search bar at the top here, and quite often, perhaps in a support ticket with you, we'll say, oh, that's been reported in bug 38262. So you can come here and have a look at 38262 and just search for it. And you can see the history of that bug. So you can see the current status of it, where it is in that task management workflow. So has it just been recently reported? Is it waiting QA? Has it actually been pushed into Koha? So you could check the status of it. You could see what module it relates to. You could see who's working on it. You could see when it was reported. And then if we scroll down, you can see the details of actually what this was about. You could also just search generally in the search box for a term. So if perhaps I just search for vendors, then we could see everything that's currently in a sort of open state that's related to vendors. Now I personally find that if you're perhaps looking for something that's maybe already been fixed, then I don't use the search box. I actually go to the advanced search and start searching there, because I think there's some quite useful features in the advanced search that we can have a look at. So if we use this search icon here and then click on the advanced search, we've got various boxes within the Bugzilla platform that we can search in. The ones I particularly use most commonly, I guess, are things like the component. So if we're perhaps looking specifically for an acquisitions feature, then we could do that. Sometimes the version. But the two I commonly use is searching for the comments, because often you find that the summary line doesn't explain enough about the problem to be able to actually find it. So somebody might say as a sort of summary line, problem with vendors, which is a very generic sort of statement or summary. So that's a good tip if you're looking at logging bugs yourself, is always make the summary as descriptive and precise as you possibly can do. So because they aren't always brilliantly accurate, I like to search in the comment box, because that search all the comments attached to it. I also often select more of these statuses so that I know that I'm also searching things that may have been fixed in the past and perhaps are no longer open. They're actually resolved, but they may have recently be resolved, so they may be an issue that's affecting my system, but actually it's not in my system yet. So let's just do a search here for LCF, and that brings up a number of different results. Let's just have a look at this specific one here. And the reason I'm just going to have a look at this is, again, just to show you the field. So this one is actually marked as with a status of new. You'll also notice, because I'm logged in, I've got the ability to edit all of these components as well. So I'm just going to add a comment to this bug in a moment. But we could also see that there's a CC list here. So if there is a bug or enhancement or new feature that's of interest to you and you want to follow the progress of it, so perhaps somebody has suggested it but nobody's implemented it, but you want updates when it becomes active again, you can add yourself to the CC list. And once you've done that, when you save the changes, every time this bug gets updated, then you'll get a notification of what's happening with it. So in this particular case, I'm going to just add a comment at the bottom, and the comment I'm just going to add here is to say that this feature has now been implemented. If anyone is interested in it, and I'll save that. The status is still new. A couple of other things to point out to you is that we have in the Koha community the Koha dashboard. So that's at dashboard.koha-community.org, and this is a good sort of overview visual representation of what's going on right now in the Bugzilla system, and it's useful in a number of ways. It blocks together patches waiting to be signed off, waiting for QA, but particularly down this right hand side here, it's got some good sort of information under the progress tab here. So things ready to push. So these are things that are almost ready to get into Koha. So if you want an insight as to what's coming upstream, then you can follow these. And all of these links are hypertext links, so you can click and open them. So you can, and that will jump you into Bugzilla, where you can actually see the detail of what's going on with that particular one. And then a nice one at the bottom here, new features. So again, we can see what's being pushed to the core code. So again, it's a good insight as to what's coming upstream. Finally, just to look at the release notes. So for every version of Koha, there's a set of release notes, and you always see this line here which says it includes 10 new features, in this case 184 enhancements and 647 bug fixes in the 24.11 version. So all of these will be things that are recorded in that Bugzilla system as bugs, regardless of the fact that they're actually 184 of these are going to be enhancements and 10 of them these are going to be complete new features. So a new feature is where it's a new piece of functionality. So maybe it's a new module, like the ERM module when it was introduced in the past few years. An enhancement might be something that's an improvement or added functionality to something that's already existing in Koha. And then the bugs themselves are a whole myriad of different types of issues that are sort of categorized under these bug fixes. So although this sounds quite a sort of scary number, in fact, if you drill down into the release notes, you'll see a section that's bug fixes section. And you'll notice by looking through these that it's a real mix of different things. So sometimes it is what we might describe as a bug. So some data's not being saved in this case here. But if we look down here, we cannot delete an EDI account. Well, that's not something that's necessarily wrong with the existing software. It's actually something that somebody forgot to implement when EDI was first implemented. So it's something that really should be there and got forgotten about and has now been fixed as a bug. So it is a sort of quite a rich variety of things come under that sort of category heading. So hopefully after that you'll not be quite as intimidated and frightened by the Bugzilla system and the concept of bugs. Bugs can be great. There could be new features. There could be enhancements. There could be little fixes. So hopefully you'll find navigating your way around Bugzilla a little bit more friendly and less intimidating now. So I hope you found that useful, and we look forward to seeing you next time.